Have you been getting rid of stuff? Letting things go? Clearing closets, clutter, spaces? Mm-hmm. Yep. Me too. This is something I have been noticing is up. One of the energetic themes that just is showing up within my own life, showing up for clients. Friends are talking about it. And I feel like this is kind of a beautiful way to wind down 2025. So today we are going to dive in and have some conversation. So welcome back. I'm Lori Andrus, and this is the Luminary Life podcast. And today we are going to lean deeper into conversation about how to gracefully let things go. And we're going to talk about how the crystals and stones are showing up to support us in this process. Yep, that's exactly where we're going. So as we kick off this episode, I want to talk a little bit about a couple of the things that have been showing up in my world and how this is unfolding and how this process is moving in my own life. So I feel like 2025, because in numerology, it is a 9 universal number. You add up the number 2025, the 2, the 0, the 2, the 5, and you get the number 9. And this is how the universal number is decided. And when we look at that, 9 in numerology is often about letting go and creating space for a fresh start. It's a year of completion. It's a year where we look back and we let ourselves reevaluate what has been working, what hasn't been working, what is it that we want to create as we're moving forward? What is complete in our lives? And this type of reflective year carries a really unique energy. And it's really quite beautiful because this reevaluation time, this looking back, looking forward, a sort of energy invites us to really claim what it is we want to experience in our lives. It invites us to claim the reality we want to create, the dreams that are living in our hearts. And there's no better way to do that than to spend a bit of time in reflection and see where we have not been living into those dreams and desires. Yeah, I'm sure as you hear me say that, you can feel that there's probably a bit of emotion around that too. And I think that's really normal as we move through 9 years to have emotions show up, whether it's frustration and disappointment in not stepping forward and claiming things or claiming aspects of ourself that we're wanting to bring forward. Or sometimes it's a grief around things being complete. There's a lot of emotion that shows up as we move through 9 years. And one of the ways that we can really help this process to unfold in a more elegant and graceful manner is to lean into it. I know. Often when we have energy show up that like pulls us into reminders of the past and thinking about things we've experienced and challenges we've had and things that have looked great and looked terrible, it can be really like the thing we want to avoid. But as we wind down the year, it best serves us to actually lean into that energy and to let ourselves really move with this natural momentum and begin to create space. It is through the process of that reflection, of letting things go, of really honoring and acknowledging what's complete, that we create space for what wants to be born, what wants to come next, what is ready to emerge from so deep within ourselves. And this month, we're working with Lapis Lazuli as our ally, and it is one incredible visionary stone that helps us to really see clearly what's working, what's not, where our energy is bound and held up, and where it is ready to be released and move forward. So I guess as we really dive into this conversation, I want to invite you into one reflection question that just keeps showing up as I'm doing my own like clearing and letting go. And that question is, Does this, whatever this is, so it might be a file on my computer, it may be, a book on my bookshelf, it may be, crystals in my crystal collection. Does this match the vision that I have for my life? Does it pull me forward into that vision? And if not, that is a really powerful insight around whether or not it's time to keep or let go or maybe redistribute whatever that thing is. So I want to share with you just a bit about how this has been showing up in my life. And here come a couple stories, but we'll start with the first one. And the first one actually begins back at the beginning of 2025 when we kicked off the new year and I did my own personal crystal forecast. You've probably heard me talk about the collective one that I do as a public event in December, but I also do a workshop called Vision and then the Year. So for the coming year, it'll be 2026. And this is when we sink in together and we create personal forecasts for the year. And in my personal forecast for this year, the overarching stone for the year was ruby infusionite. And its message is, it is time to shake things up. And I was really curious how this was going to play out, like what is going to really unfold. But my goodness, has this year shaken up. And my routine, my pattern, my daily life looks completely different right now than what I did a year ago. And I am loving it. But part of that, my journey through this year of letting it go, letting things go and release, and also the invitation to shake things up, one of the very first really big things that Chris and I let go of was our camper. Back in April, when we pulled it out of storage and I started to prepare for the coming season, I just felt in my stomach like this, like kind of almost sinking feeling, like I just don't want to do this. And I really dropped into, what is it that I don't want to do? Is it that I don't want to spend summer at camp? Is it that I want to travel? What is it that I really want? And as I asked those questions, the answer that came forward was, I want a stable place up at camp that we can stay in, that we can store all of our stuff at, that we can, have as a home base, air quote, up at camp. And so I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. So Chris and I ended up deciding it's time to sell the camper. And when we did that, our home, like a whole bunch of things that we had stored in our house that were related to the camper and related to our remote property, was released from our house. Things were stored up at camp. They were stored that they didn't need to be stored in the house anymore. And that created so much space in our basement. And the weight that we were feeling in our house, we were no longer feeling. It was like it was just completely cleared. It surprised both of us to feel our house so much lighter as we moved items from our house that once brought us great joy. Camping and traveling with our camper, it was something that brought us so much joy, and we had so much fun getting out and adventuring. But our life wasn't looking like that anymore. And it was becoming a weight. It was becoming an energetic weight on us. And when we released the camper and we purchased something different for up on our property, everything lit up. It felt incredibly different. And it was exciting. It was so just expansive for both of us. Well, the other thing that happened with not having all these things in our basement anymore was that the space was created. And prior to the last couple of years, I had been creating my jewelry studio was always in the basement, and I had a really cool space set up, but it had just kind of gotten cluttered over the years with camp stuff, with things for being outdoors, things that were just there. And my creative space was congested, really congested. So when we started to pull things back and let them go, that space was opening up. And this fall, after we came back from our season up north, I felt really inspired to purchase a new desk in my office. And as I purchased that new desk, I got it, brought it in, set it up. I took my old desk out and I put it downstairs in my studio. That old desk was something I had originally purchased as something for my art studio, as a creative space to create jewelry. But it wasn't being used as that. It was being used as a computer desk, as a work desk. And it was so big in my office. And it was always cluttered with extra stuff because it was a big surface. And my workspace just felt exhausted. It was like all my spaces were just starting to feel exhausted. And the simple act of getting a new desk and moving the old table, studio table, down into my studio, which had been cleared out from all the stuff in the spring, all of our camp stuff, I found myself re-inspired to start creating jewelry, re-inspired to dive back into that piece. But it wasn't just about how I felt re-inspired. It was actually how it shook things up in our home. And one of the things that it shook up was that our pup Clover, I started inviting her into the basement and found that that is a place that is so incredibly calming for her. And she loves the time down there. So when I go down there and create, she has a special treat she gets to enjoy, and she chills and she relaxes and she has a big open space and she feels at ease. And it is absolutely delightful. The reason I guess I wanted to share this whole story with you is that sometimes we hold on to things because they hold significance and meaning, and they remind us of a chapter in our lives that really lit us up or holds something special and tender within our hearts. And to Chris and I, everything camping is pretty significant on so many levels. There's so many stories that we've created, memories that we've, developed in the process. But we had moved into a new chapter and we were still holding on to that chapter. And because we were holding tightly to it, it was holding us back from really expanding into the new chapter that we had begun. And I think this happens a lot in life. We want to move forward and we want to expand into a new way of experiencing life. That can be new relationships, new jobs, new ways of doing our work, new ways of connecting with the world, new ways of seeing it and experiencing it. And yet at the same time, we hold tightly to the way it was in the past. Chris and I were holding tightly to the camper and the way that we had visioned life with the camper, but our life had changed. It was in a new space. And as we opened that space up, energy returned. We were re-energized in other areas of our lives. And this is where I really want to emphasize as we sink into the last couple weeks, I guess really weeks of this year. And as we wind down 2025 and open the gateway into 2026, this is a time to really bring awareness to what's ready to be let go of, what's ready to be cleared and completed, what is ready to open. Even if it's not defined, even if you're unsure about what it's creating space for. I had no idea how letting go of the camper would re-energize my creative self in the area of creating jewelry. No idea. And yet there it was. There it was. And it was so obvious afterwards. But we don't do it because we're certain it's going to open something in particular. We do it with the openness of what is going to be energized, what's going to emerge. The joy and pure delight of discovering what that is without any attachment. So let's talk a little bit more about just some of these energetics of releasing things. I've alluded to this in sharing my stories, but I really want to get more specific about it. And this is something where I think our stone of the year, one of our stones of the year, Star Cluster Aragonite, actually helps us out quite a bit. And this is that as we let go of things that our journey is complete with, we are calling our energy back, because there's energetic threads that are woven between ourselves and items of significance and sacredness, things that we possess for one reason or another, things that, like, all the things. There's like threads of energy that connect us. And Star Cluster Aragonite has really emphasized this year how important it is to anchor our light, anchor our energy within, and to really embody a practice of calling our energy back and letting go of the places where it has attached and that doesn't serve us in ways that are not healthy and supportive and expansive. And so one of the big things to consider as we lean into the idea of letting things go and letting them go with grace is to recognize the items and call our energy back from them as we let them go. So as Chris and I were letting go of our camper, we really went through, we cleared and cleaned and just like really lovingly tended to the camper. And then each of the items that were stored in our basement that were part of the camper were returned to it. And we mindfully honored and acknowledged and thanked them for the journey that they've taken us on, for the adventures they've brought forward, for the way they afforded us an opportunity to live at camp on our land over the summer, where it gave us space, where it held space for us. And as we let go with love and with grace and honor for all of those pieces, we disconnected and we called our energy back to ourselves. And so as you're letting things go, you may find that some items hold more significance than others. I think we do this all the time. We have stacks of paper, we have files, we have notes, we have, photographs, we have things on shelves, we have things. We have things. I have crystals. I have flutes. I have, we can look around our space and we can go, really take a little look at it and see what's there. And then go, what is it that I want to hold and what is it that I want to let go of? What has served its time? And when we are recognizing what has served its time, call our energy back. And Star Cluster Aragonite, it will be such a great ally for doing just that. And our good friend Lapis Lazuli, who is the November Crystal Ally of the Month, will really help us to be crystal clear about what is ready to go, what we need to hold on to, and what really supports us in expanding into our next vision. The other piece I want to acknowledge around this piece of letting things go and opening space for what comes next, and that is the emotion. I know I touched on this a little bit earlier, but I really want to lean into it a little bit more, because I think, in part of the process of letting things go, and part of the reason we sometimes hold on to different items is because they came into our life as a part of a vision for self. And sometimes we live into that vision and sometimes we don't. So part of us having that camper, Chris and I, when we got that camper, there were a couple ideas that we had, plans that we had, ways that we wanted to travel with it, use it, experience it. And life took us on our own journey. It took us on a whole different path. And Chris and I we did a couple really great trips with it, but most of our camping time was spent up north in the woods. And less about some of the travel that we thought we would do. And one in particular was a big we had a big trip planned, and it just didn't happen because our energy became invested somewhere else, and definitely in the right place. But there was a bit of grief that showed up as we were letting go of the camper. And it was really important that we honored that emotion. And I think this shows up when we start to look at what we're letting go of. When we're letting go of something, sometimes we hold onto it because we say, oh, we're going to use this when. And yet that when has come and gone. And it's important to acknowledge those whens that have come and gone and let ourselves grieve, because sometimes there's an energy of sadness or grief or emotion that's there for what we did not live into or create. And sometimes there's the disappointment or a piece of feeling like a failure. But the reality is our life has so many different potential pathways, so many different possibilities. And I feel like we hold on to things because we want to hold on to all of those possibilities. But in holding on to all of those possibilities really tightly, we miss the opportunity to create space for the next piece of really being able to mindfully choose what is completely right for us, opening that space up for the next right thing. So notice what emotion shows up for you. Honor it. Give yourself space to feel it. Let yourself acknowledge what is complete, what has not come, the dreams that never were really born. It's okay. It is okay to have those. Love up on yourself and let things go with honor and grace and love. This is where our ally from last month, from October, may really want to come in, and that was Rhodochrosite. Rhodochrosite, it's such a wonderful ally for opening the heart and offering love and compassion for those things that we may feel a little sensitive around. And it invites us to just open the petals of our heart and just have more compassion and love and honor for the journey that we've taken, because it doesn't always look like what we thought it would look like. But it looks exactly as it is. And it looks like what it is that we want to be creating. That sounds really goofy, doesn't it? But as we let ourselves just release the ways we've held tightly to something that was an expectation that didn't turn out as we thought it should, we give ourselves grace, we create space, and we let go of the weight of whatever that was. We have space to breathe. Our belongings carry a lot of emotion, and we are moving into an entirely new chapter in the world, really, in humanity. And as we move forward, this is a beautiful time and a beautiful opportunity to really get crystal clear about the vision that we hold for ourselves and the role that we play within humanity. It's a time to get crystal clear about the ways we want to walk in the world, how we want to experience life. And it is time to let go of what doesn't match that anymore. It is okay to grieve what was in the past. Our world has changed so much in the last 5 years. So much. And that change carries energy. It's natural to have grief for the past and what you remember, and ways that you held hopes and ideas and dreams based on the way reality was at that time. Let yourself grieve that, honor it, and acknowledge that. And then recognize the space that's being opened for a new reality to emerge, for new possibilities to show up. So this is big energy, isn't it? Yeah, I feel like there's a lot unfolding right now. And The invitation is immense, but I think we're ready. I think that we've been in such a place of preparing for this over the past several years, so that as we step into 2026, we are ready to walk courageously with the gifts and medicine that we hold, to open the space to really bring those forward and create a new reality within our world. I feel like a lot of the dismantling that's happening is creating space for something that we can't fully see yet. But the thing that we can't fully see requires our unique gifts, our unique medicine, and the embodiment of that. What a cool time we live in. What a gift to be here right now. So, I want to invite you in this moment to join me in just a little release ritual. If you've been sitting and listening to this, you've probably been looking around your space, whether you're in your car or you are in your home somewhere or your yard, wherever you are, you probably can look around and just see 3 items that are ready to be let go of. Yep. And I want to invite you to just go and gather up those items. If you need to press pause, go ahead and do that. You may have even just had them pop into your mind, your memory, but let yourself go gather them up. And then come on back here and let's sink into just a little release ritual together to let them go and create space. Great. Welcome back. Okay, you've got your 3 items. I want to invite you to just lay them out in front of you. And let yourself just connect energetically. Just notice them in front of you. You may want to pick one up and hold it. You may want to one by one do this. So you may just do it as a group. Either way is perfect. But let yourself just connect and let your memory run through the story and the journey and the connection with these items. Think about all the things that have emerged and shown up, the journey you've taken together, or maybe the hopes that you had for a journey together that unfolded differently. And then honor and acknowledge and know that it is time for you to let them go and let them move on to someone else. Yeah. So let yourself just let them, let that awareness come through. Let yourself have that little mental conversation. And then I want to invite you to imagine that your hand is just going to slide down in front of your face, down the front of your body, and between yourself and these items. And just imagine that there's like a cord of energy or thread of energy that your hand is just gently severing. It's just breaking that bond. And as you do that, invite the energy that is yours to return to you, and the energy that belongs to that item to return to it. Yeah. So calling your energy back and giving the item its energy back too. This is a both way sort of situation. And then as you do that, let yourself just take some deep breaths and begin to imagine the energy that is returning to you is anchoring within your navel center. Right? Yeah, just like 2 fingers below your navel. And let yourself just breathe into that space. Let it anchor. And thank yourself for the journey it's taken. Thank yourself for returning. Thank yourself for being fully present for the next adventures in your life. And then if it feels right to you to smudge or burn some incense or, run these items through a candle like a light or place them outside, go ahead and do that. But just recognize where you are letting these go to. Some things may be donated, they may be gifted, they may be, offered to someone else. Just notice how you want to let them go. Acknowledge that, honor that, and then take a step to follow through. Yeah. You know, it's really interesting. Like, as we sank into this little ritual, I remembered letting go of the camper. And one of the things that Chris and I talked about with the camper was how the camper came into our lives and we were hoping to do some traveling with it, right? But we weren't doing that. And we felt like the camper's destiny really was to travel, to have adventures, to go exciting and interesting places. And we just felt very strong about that. And it was funny because as we invited in the person who purchased the camper, that was kind of in the back of our minds, but we didn't really hook into it. It was just like, oh, we think the camper would really enjoy this. And we got to know the individuals who purchased the camper and a little bit, and we've been kind of following them on social media. And the camper is having so many wonderful adventures, and it feels like it is in its right place. Like it moved on to its right place. I feel like every creation has a destiny, so to speak, and that may be long, for some items longer than others, right? It may be more grand than another from the outward ideal perspective, but they all have a journey. And if we recognize that, part of its journey was with us, and sometimes it means continuing on with someone else, sometimes it means that's the end of its journey, it's complete, it gets returned to the earth, it gets offered back to another sort of ceremony like a fire or something like that. That's part of the process. So let yourself have fun with this. Like, get curious, get creative, and don't hesitate to let things go. Call in the stones as allies for whatever release wants to unfold. Let yourself celebrate as things move on to their next journey as well, to their next part of their life, and let yourself really embody the wisdom that is you and the gifts that you have to bring forward at this time, because they are needed. All right. So with that, sacred friend, I want to also invite you, if you're interested in joining me for the 2026 Crystal Forecast, I'll put a link down below in the show notes, along with a link for my workshop, Vision 2026, which is an opportunity for you to sink into sacred ritual and ceremony with me and create your own personal forecast. This is a beautiful workshop that I am offering again this year, and I'm so excited to do it, and I'd love to have you join me. So both those links will be in the description, and I thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you a beautiful day, and as always, shine brightly. Bye for now.